Hi everyone, I hope y'all are all well and staying safe in lockdowns. Remember though that with rights come responsibilities. My name is Dilnaz Bilamoria and I cordially welcome all of you to the Virtual Employment Forum, Pathways to Employment Through COVID, Session 2. Now you are working. Firstly, on behalf of Communities Council on Ethnic Issues, I would really like to wish all of you a happy Diwali and a prosperous new year. Diwali ki shubhkamnaएं. May the glow of health, the light of happiness and the flame of prosperity burn brightly in our homes and in our hearts. On behalf of COEI, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands throughout Australia on land, sea and community. We pay our respects to elders, past, present and emerging. We also extend our greetings to multicultural and multi-faith leaders. This virtual event is funded by the Victorian Government through the Priority Response to Multicultural Communities during Coronavirus PRMC program. On behalf of COEI, we gratefully acknowledge the Victorian Government's funding from the PRMC Phase 2 program and the continuous support we have received from the Victorian Multicultural Commission and the Department of Families, Fairness and Housing. No program happens on its own, and COVID has truly shown us that success comes through partnerships. We thank Rick Comfort of Services Australia, an amazing facilitator who has provided his valuable expertise and experience, helping us to find some wonderful presenters and promptly and patiently responding to our many queries. Now please take a moment to read the message from the Communities Council on Ethnic Issues, President Sway Ting's message to everyone. Thank you for reading the message. Today's session will focus on how multicultural communities in the wake of job losses will be able to thrive and find employment past the long losses of COVID lockdowns and the pandemic. Presenters will provide advice and information on better understanding your rights and responsibilities as an employee. Due to uncertainties of COVID restrictions, we could not invite stall holders to this video, but there will be written resources from all the service organizations and partners available to you post the session. Session 2. Now you are working. Our first presenter is interpreter Raul Tin Thangi DAL. She has been an interpreter for many years, serving the Burmese community. She speaks many Burmese dialects and has agreed to share her story. Find out what an apprentice really does and what is your journey to getting a good job. Our second presenter is the Eastern Community Legal Center. Iresha Buthgamuwa and Emma Costa will explain what legal support is available for a range of employment services. Our third presenter is Fair Work Ombudsman Jeffry Kam, who has kindly agreed to present on whether you're getting your correct entitlement and how do you access services to rectify the situation. Our fourth presenter is the Victorian Department of Health, Dr. Thomas Schulz, Infectious Diseases and General Physician, Senior Medical Advisor, COVID-19 Vaccination Program. For those who may speak Hindi, this is what I have to say about the vaccination program. जब हम यहाँ जाते हैं, जब हम वहाँ जाते हैं, तो क्यों नहीं हम jab लेने चले जाते हैं? And what that means is, when we go here, when we go there, why don't we all go together and get our vaccination? It is very important for job aspirants to look at volunteering opportunities. You may ask why. Work experience for your resume and insight into workplaces, building your networks, and basically making some new friends. Volunteering is the backbone of the Australian culture and our economy. Remember, your contribution is always acknowledged and diversity of voices is always appreciated.
My name is Thangi, and I came here in Australia 1993 in May, and I came here with my two kids and my husband here already for study, and we went to BCV Bible College. Not me, I'm not the one studying, but my husband did, and then we had a permanent visa in Australia 1998. And from there, I start my English course, Certificate 3 in English. And I did my Certificate 3 in English. After I finished, I studied HK course, Certificate 3 in HK. They call the term PCA. And while I'm studying, I've been working in nursing home. And from nursing home, they asked me to do the apprenticeship, and I got it. And I study Division 2 in nurse. And while I'm doing, in 2000, a lot of refugees came to Australia. That's where they start, 2000. And so I'm not professionally to interpret for yet, but I've been helping because we don't have in our language is I speak Mizochin, Hakachin, Falamchin, Tidimchin. Tidim is Zomi and Tidim are the same, so and Burmese. And because we don't have our dialect interpreter in Melbourne anyway, and also I think in Australia on that time. So I've been helping like the lady and the man, the refugee people from 2000. In 2000, I've been helping them voluntarily go to GP and immigration department, and also job interview and renting department and all that. So from there, I have experience. I've been working with community all the time. And so, and in the end, I need to do professionally. So he asked me to do the interpreting for them. So I interviewed there, and so I start T's National Interpreting 2005. So that's why I start. That's why exactly I think Tidimchin, Mizochin, Falamchin, Hakachin, interpretation is a start. So me and my husband, we just register there, and we interview there. And on those times, we don't have to have a nati. So I have, without nati, I've been interpreting for that all the language that I've been mentioned, five language. So with TIS national, and then after that, LSU Centrelink needed also. So I start with Centrelink with them 2007, and when the refugee people, when we are more and more, they have kids, and when the children, when they speak at home in our own dialect language, they need to, when they go to kindergarten or when they go to school, they need to have an interpreter to study or to be there. So it called FK, that is a children like a child care also. So I've been registered with FK, they call. So that one was, I start 2008. So the kindergarten, I've been there, all the teacher, they've been talking to the parent or the child. I need to interpret for them. And so I need to be there, and I work with them. And then while I'm doing nursing home, I need to be the, I work as an interpreting as well, like Ringwood Centrelink and like Lilydale Centrelink. And I've been sitting there on-site job as well as the telephone job. And also I need to, the more and more the people that came to Melbourne, so more refugee people. So the agency called On Call is, I start work with them 2008. And also in 2016, I start work with all graduate and VIT, and then I speak your language. Because I speak your language, I don't know even exists the language service, but they asked me because they desperate that Mizochin, they can't get the interpreting, the interpreter, so they asked me to do that. So I enjoy with them later on. So I think helping I think I want to encourage the young people, or even the like my age group, mom and dad, if you can speak English a little bit, or like be confident. I think helping people is a very great. I think interpreting is I enjoy, because you helping people as well as you, that is like your job. You get the money as well as you helping people, and also your knowledge, like, because I interpret Centrelink and like doctor and like even lawyer and immigration department, or like social worker, like all the organization that I've been connect with, my knowledge for the Australia law, and also the system of the government and the system of the, how can I say, parenting, and like all the, in hospital, I have knowledge a lot of that. So I think, and also I myself, when I came to Australia in 1993, I can't speak English a word, but we don't have any interpreter. So I have to survive myself, and my husband helping me, but he can't be there all the time. So I need to be independent myself as well. So every time the phone ring, I'm so scared, but now I don't have to scared anymore. So I think like what I mean is to helping the people is so great, because I myself, I gone through that. When you can't speak English in another country, it's so struggle. So I think helping people when they can't explain themselves in the GP or like hospital, or even when they having a baby, when they go to parent interview, or anything like that. It's so hard. So I think helping people is a particular job as like interpreting job is a very great. So I think I want to encourage all the young people and who can speak English. I think I have a lot of friends that they have graduated in our own country, but they feel like they're not good enough, but I'm sure they're good enough. I think the more you practice your English, the more you can be confident, and the more you can have knowledge and experience. So I want to encourage all the young people that start with your what you have, and then you will increase, and then that's very joyful, and you connect with people and the professional, the staff, and the client, and we enjoy each other. So I think this is a very joyful job, and I mean, very good job. So I want to encourage all of you. I myself, I am a Division 2 in nurse in Australia here, but I stopped my nursing job because nursing job is great. I encourage other people to do that, but interpreting is for me, it's more I prefer, because I don't have to have heavy lifting or like seeing very sick people or like dirty thing or like anything. But interpreting is so great. It's more rewarding. You can help other people who can speak themselves and who can explain themselves in operation place and anywhere like immigration department, anything you can helping them. So it's more rewarding to me. So I stopped my nursing job and I'm doing my interpreting job as a professional. So it's a very rewarding. So I want to encourage you that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Iresha and I have Emma with me today. Emma and I work at the Eastern Community Legal Center, and today we will talk about the services our organization offers to our local community. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am working today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I would like to pay my respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. As I mentioned before, Emma and I work at the Eastern Community Legal Center, which is your local community legal center. Eastern Community Legal Center, or in short, ECLC, is one of the largest community legal centers in Victoria. There are more than 50 community legal centers in the state. Community legal centers are independent community organizations that provides free legal advice, casework, and legal education to their communities. ECLC's catchment area is the Eastern Metropolitan Region of Melbourne. People living in the local government areas of Burundara, Manningham, Whitehorse, Knox, Morunda, and Yarra ranges can access our services. ECLC has 3 offices spread across the region. They are located in Box Hill, Boronia, and Hillsville. So let's see what Eastern Community Legal Center can do to assist you. ECLC provides free legal information and advice, but we can take limited ongoing casework to support. If we cannot support you, we will refer you to the right community organization or to the specialized community legal service that can assist you. Also, we can provide legal education sessions to community groups. So if you like to have someone coming to your group or community gathering to talk about legal rights or about your rights, please get in touch with us. As response to community needs, we have established specialized services and programs and projects. If you visit ECLC website, you can get more information about those programs and services. Now I pass to Emma to talk about our legal service and how you can access them.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you virtually. My name is Emma and I'm an intake worker at the Eastern Community Legal Centre. Before I begin, I would also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which I'm meeting, and that's the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. If you would like to access some legal support from our centre, the best way to get in touch is to send us an email or give us a phone call. We are an appointment-based service, and this means that we're unfortunately unable to give immediate advice when someone calls. However, when someone calls us, we will have a welcoming and confidential conversation to work out whether we might be able to help. We call this the intake process, and it usually takes about 15 minutes, but may take longer when working with an interpreter. If you would like an interpreter, this is something that we can arrange free of charge when you call. We thought that it might be helpful to talk through the initial intake process so you know what to expect when you call our services. To start off, one of the intake workers will ask you for a few personal details, for example, your name, birth date, and the suburb you live in. We'll then ask you for a few brief details about your legal or social situation. This helps us work out whether we have expertise in the matter. There are many areas of law that we're able to assist with, and some of the more common areas include family violence, parenting arrangements, fines and infringements, as well as some small criminal matters. We encourage you to call us even if you're unsure whether we're able to assist or not, as if we're unable to provide advice or another service is more appropriate, we're usually able to make a referral. This includes referrals to other free community legal centres, as well as private lawyers if that's more appropriate. The next step of the intake process is to ask you a few questions to better understand your circumstances to make sure that we can provide a service that is adapted to any needs you might have. These questions are a little bit more personal. However, there's no expectation to answer anything that you feel uncomfortable answering. Lastly, we will offer a caller the next available appointment if suitable, or make a referral. We have several specialised programs and projects that provide additional support to communities who are experiencing additional challenges. This includes several integrated practice projects where our teams work closely with professionals of lawyers, advocates, as well as financial counsellors. We do this in areas including domestic violence and elder abuse. Our centre also works with communities to support and empower them to prevent legal problems from arising in the first place. As Iresha mentioned, this includes education and information, and also includes collaborating to find culturally appropriate responses and solutions to legal challenges. To assist people access legal support during COVID, we have produced about 10 publications with legal information, which have been published in a number of different languages. This includes information on scams as well as elder abuse. And if you're interested in finding these, they're all available on our website. Unfortunately, our centre cannot provide advice on issues relating to employment law. However, there are a number of services who are able to provide this advice. Some of these services include JobWatch, the Fair Work Ombudsman, your industry union, WorkSafe Victoria, and the Migrant Workers Centre. If you're interested in accessing these services or finding out a bit more about them, I encourage you to contact them using some of the contact details available on the screen.
Emma, I have a few questions that our community frequently asks us. See whether you can answer them. I'll read the questions or you try to answer them. So first question, what do you charge for your service?
Our services are free of charge, and we really try and work with people who might not be able to afford a private lawyer.
Am I seeing a real lawyer?
Great question. All of our lawyers are qualified practicing lawyers.
The third question, am I eligible to get help from ECOC?
There's a few things that we'll consider when working out whether someone might be eligible for our services or not. The first is what suburb they live in, and we're able to assist people who live in Boroondara, Manningham, Whitehorse, Knox, Maroondah, or the Yarra Ranges. We'll also consider whether there's any conflicts of interest, and of course, whether we have legal expertise to help with a specific issue.
The last question. I study and work during the day. Can I see a lawyer after hours or during weekend?
We do have some appointments available in the evening, and these are made available by appointment only. However, unfortunately, we're not able to provide advice over the weekend.
So thank you, Emma.
Thank you. Before finishing up today, we wanted to highlight a few key things about our service. Firstly, Eastern Community Legal Centre is free, confidential, and independent. We also wanted to remind you that advice is available by appointment only, so please do call us or send through an email. We are able to organise an interpreter for you free of charge, and we're able to do this when you contact us. And we wanted to remind you that there's a lot of information about our services available on our website, so we encourage you to have a look. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeffry Kam and I'm a Senior Engagement Officer at the Fair Work Ombudsman. Migrant workers and visa holders have the same workplace rights as all workers in Australia. The Fair Work Ombudsman is the national workplace regulator, and we can help you understand your workplace rights and resolve workplace issues. Our services are free and confidential. We also work closely with stakeholders like Services Australia to raise awareness of workplace rights and obligations. When working in Australia, I'd like to give you 3 handy tips. Tip 1, be careful when finding work. Know who you're working for. What is the business name and their Australian business number or ABN? Tip 2, know what you should be paid. In Australia, you have the right to a minimum wage based on the work you do. The Fair Work Ombudsman can help you calculate your minimum wage. Tip 3, keep your own work records. Download the Fair Work Ombudsman's free Record My Hours app to record and store your work hours. And remember, the Fair Work Ombudsman is here to help you, and you can contact us without the fear of your visa being cancelled. Visit us at fairwork.gov.au, call us on 13 13 94, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Our information is also available in over 30 languages at fairwork.gov.au/languages. Have a great time living and working in Australia. The Fair Work Ombudsman services are available to everyone, including migrant workers and visa holders. The Fair Work Ombudsman is the national workplace regulator, and we provide advice and assistance about workplace issues to employers and employees for free. We're impartial, so we don't represent any party. We encourage all employees and employers to contact us if they have any questions about workplace rights and obligations in Australia. The National Employment Standards, also known as the NES, are 11 minimum employment entitlements that have to be provided to all employees. For example, one of the NES entitlements is for employers to give every employee a copy of the Fair Work Information Statement, either before or as soon as possible after they start their new job. Employers must also give every new casual employee a Casual Employment Information Statement at the same time. You can find out more about the Fair Work Information Statement and the Casual Employment Information Statement on our website at fairwork.gov.au/FWIS. If an employer isn't paying the employee correctly, the employee is not breaking the law. The employer is. It's against the law for an employer to pay an employee less than the minimum wage, even if the employee agrees to it. Employees have nothing to fear about coming forward to the Fair Work Ombudsman and reporting if they're not being paid correctly. You can even report a workplace issue to us anonymously in English or 16 other languages at fairwork.gov.au/tipoff. I want to emphasise again that migrant workers and visa holders have the same workplace rights as all workers in Australia, and the Fair Work Ombudsman is here to help you.
Hi, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Dr. Tom Schulz. I'm an infectious diseases physician from the Royal Melbourne, and I'm currently on secondment with the Health Department in Victoria as the medical leader of the vaccination program there. So I'm going to speak a little bit about COVID vaccination, but just really to start, a bit of a reminder about COVID. In Australia, because we have closed our borders and we haven't really seen the terrible signs situation that COVID has been around the world. At least 5 million people, but probably more than 15 million people have died from COVID since March of last year. And many, probably something like 250 million people have had COVID, a huge number of people. And it's changed the way we live here in Australia, and it's caused terrible morbidity, mortality, and impacts in people's lives, particularly overseas, and in those people in Australia who've been directly impacted by COVID, but also indirectly impacted by all the lockdown, social isolation, and changes to our lives that have occurred over the last 18 months. So the thing that really is going to change our lives back to getting something back to normal is vaccination. And currently, Australians have really shown fantastic uptake of vaccination. We're now at nearly 90% of all Australians have had a first dose. That's Australians over 16. And I think 80% will have had 2 doses within the next few days in all of Australia. And it's already at that level in Victoria. So that provides really good protection for those people. And the rates are even higher in the elderly population who are at the greatest risk of getting severe disease. But if you haven't been vaccinated yet and you're still thinking about it, and I think I understand that why people are a bit nervous about vaccination. It's vaccination isn't a new thing. And even COVID vaccination now has been given to over 7 billion people worldwide. So we've got a huge amount of experience with that vaccination here in Australia and internationally. But the main reason to get vaccinated against COVID is to keep yourself safe. Vaccine is very effective at keeping you out of hospital, keeping you out of intensive care, and worst case scenario of stopping you dying from COVID. It's not perfect, but something like 90% less likely to have those outcomes if you're vaccinated. It also reduces transmission to others, and it reduces your chance of getting COVID in the first place. So that's the first main reason, is the benefit to yourself. The second reason to get vaccinated is the benefit to those around you. If you're vaccinated, then you're less likely to give it to your kids, to your parents, to other people around you, and they may get quite sick. Even if you're a person who isn't at great risk yourself because you're young and healthy, your people who get it may be at much greater risk and can get really quite sick. And in the really elderly and quite frail, even people who've been vaccinated can get quite unwell with COVID. The third reason to get vaccinated is, in many states now, vaccination opens up a whole lot of freedoms by allowing you to do more things that you weren't allowed to do before. There's been a huge amount of freedoms that we've all lost over the last 18 months. Simple freedoms, like the freedoms to be able to catch up with our friends and family, our loved ones, go to funerals, go to weddings, go to just social events, have been lost. And through being vaccinated, you'll then be able to have access to so many more of those things that, up until the start of last year, we really took for granted. And the final reason to be vaccinated is that in many places it's now a mandatory requirement. So you might be working in healthcare or aged care or many other work sectors now where it's required that you're vaccinated. In Australia, we have 3 COVID vaccinations. They're all very effective at preventing severe disease and good at stopping transmission and so forth. The AstraZeneca vaccine is 2 vaccines somewhere between 4 and 12 weeks apart and is very effective, probably being used a bit less now. It's a very safe vaccine. 99.99% of people don't get a major problem, but we do know that very occasionally people get a rare clotting condition where they get bleeding and clotting, something called thrombotic thrombocytopenic syndrome. And for that reason, we're using AstraZeneca vaccine less. It's still very good vaccine at stopping COVID, but there's these rare side effects. The second 2 vaccines are the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine. Now, they're very similar vaccines in that they use what's called mRNA technology. Essentially, that's the instructions for making a protein that your immune system recognises, and by recognising that protein, they get ready for when you see the real COVID so that your immune system is ready to attack it. Pfizer was the one that we first had in Australia, and that's 2 doses again, somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks apart. We usually recommend 3 weeks now to get maximum protection. as soon as we can, now that we have plenty of vaccine in Australia. It's a very safe vaccine. Some people will feel a bit rubbish for a day or so after having the vaccine, maybe some headaches, maybe a bit of feeling a bit feverish, maybe some aches and pains in your muscles, but those things all resolve. Very rarely people get what's called myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle. But again, 99.99% of people who get the Pfizer vaccine don't get this problem. And if you do get it, it's something that you recover from it and get better again. The Moderna vaccine, it's a similar vaccine to the Pfizer vaccine. And again, 2 doses, usually 4 weeks apart. And again, very rarely this myocarditis, but as a general rule, very safe vaccines that are particularly really very effective at stopping COVID. I know that often people have a lot of questions about vaccination and might be concerned about it. And these vaccines are not perfect, but they are very good. And I think always in my head is the balance between what is the risks associated with the vaccine, and there is some very small risks associated with the vaccine, and what is the risks associated with COVID? And the risks associated with COVID are much greater. And we know that now in Australia, as restrictions are easing, as borders are starting to open and so forth, that we will be exposed to COVID, that it's not possible to go on living a life once COVID's in the community and never be exposed to COVID. So then we really have the choice of, am I exposed to COVID with my immune system being ready to see COVID because I was vaccinated, or am I exposed to COVID without that? And the outcomes can be so much worse if you're exposed to COVID when you haven't been vaccinated. I'll leave it at that, but hopefully that's given you a little bit of information around vaccination and some things to help you think it through. But I think that real take-home message for me is, don't forget that COVID is a really nasty disease that you really don't want, particularly if you're more elderly and unwell. And if you can protect yourself from getting it, that's fantastic. And if you can protect others around you, even better. Thanks very much.
We have now reached the end of our forum, session 2. Now you are working. We wanted to say thank you to all our presenters, Raul Tin Thangi DAL, Iresha Buthgamuwa and Emma Costa, Jeffry Kam and Dr. Schulz for generously sharing important information and advice on employment and career pathways. Thanks to all of you for watching this video. We hope you have found today's sessions helpful, and if you have any further questions, please contact the organizations listed on the resources directly. I would like to end by saying that we often say that these are hard to reach communities. That is not so. We are the hardly reached communities, and it is the responsibility of everyone in Victoria and Australia to reach out to people who need support. Communities Council on Ethnic Issues would like to express our sincere gratitude to our major partners for this event: Rick Comfort, Services Australia, Sally Brooks, Migrant Information Centre, Iresha Buthgamuwa, Eastern Community Legal Centre, Mohit Gupta, Swinburne University. We would also like to thank the External Partners Working Group for the huge contribution behind the scenes that has made this happen. Apart from those we mentioned earlier, local governments of Boroondara, Knox, Monash, Maroondah, Whitehorse, and many others. Thanks to Vivian Nguyen, Chairperson, Victorian Multicultural Commission, and Wei Thai, Deputy Chair, for all their support of our initiatives and for their encouragement. And last but not the least, it would be remiss of me not to thank all those in COOEI. Firstly, Ken Pang, our project coordinator, for working tirelessly over months to see that we have borne fruit. To Sway Ting, Wei, Sam, Cynthia, Con, Danielle, Dan, Krishani, Sarah, Emma, Tony, Gina, and Kenny. Thank you to the Committee of Management and to so many wonderful volunteers, some of them being Polly, Ernst, and others, for making this happen. We hope to see you soon at the next CCOEI event. Au revoir. Milenge. Zaijian. Thank you.